Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Hey readers, welcome back to the podcast. I am super excited about today's episode, though I guess when am I never excited about an episode because I love talking about romance books. But if you are one of my newsletter subscribers, I recently mentioned that I watched the movie Anyone But You because I adore Glenn Powell, who was awesome in the movie, by the way. But the best part of that Enemies to Lovers movie was the meet cute between the hero and the heroine at the very beginning of the romance movie. The heroine runs into a coffee shop because she really has to go to the bathroom, and they are giving her grief that the bathroom is only for paying customers. So the hero ends up stepping in to help her out. The scene is really cute and adorable. I won't go into it more because I don't want to spoil it for you. So you're just going to have to go watch the movie if you want to. But the movie and a book I read recently got me thinking about romance books with the best meet cutes, because authors who can craft the best, most unique scenes and get you hooked on the characters and rooting for their happily ever afters are just, tops in my book, and they're so talented. So in today's episode, I am sharing some of the best meet cutes that I've read in romance books. But honestly, getting ready for this episode, I kept thinking of more and more books, so you can find my entire list of best meet cutes on shereadsromancebooks.com if you want to make sure you add all of those books to your TBR list, because I have no doubt that you definitely will. Now, I know I definitely will leave out a few because I'm always thinking about more as I do an episode, but alas, I'll just keep updating that book list online as I recall them. So, also, after watching that movie, I asked readers in the She Reads Romance Books Reader Lounge, my private Facebook group, for their ideas about the best meet cutes in books. So I am going to be sharing those with you in this episode as well. So keep listening because they had some really great recommendations that I can't wait to share. But the first romance book with the best meet cute that I wanted to talk about is In a New York Minute by Kate Spencer. This was the first book that I read by Kate, and it was so stinking cute. It was really, really adorable. And I'm looking forward to her upcoming new release, One Last Summer, which comes out in June. I have an advanced reader copy queued up on my Kindle, so I'm super excited about that. But In a New York Minute is her book that released in early 2022. And as I said, it's super cute, an opposites attract, slow burn love story with a hero who honestly is just so endearing in his social awkwardness, and a girl whose luck has definitely taken a dive as of late. So that heroine is Franny Doyle. And as I said, she's having a pretty horrific day at the start of this romance. She's been laid off from her job, so she's headed home with her box of personal items and is basically, smushed into the New York subway with the rest of Manhattan when the subway car doors rip off the back of her silk dress. So she's standing there with her box in her arms and no way to cover her ass sticking out. And I think to make matters worse, I think she was wearing a thong, right? Because of course she is. So just imagine the panic, right? But she is pushed up against Hayes, the stunning stranger in a suit, who graciously offers up his suit jacket for her to wear to cover herself. I mean, he's like true knight in shining armor, right? So this whole ordeal and rescue is captured on someone's phone and posted online because, of course, it is in this digital world. And the two become this internet sensation because of their adorable meet cute. And ironically, as the book goes on, in a city of, millions, these two have several more run-ins reuniting them and setting up a really awesome slow burn story that I really, really enjoyed. I loved it. I think you will too. So check out In a New York Minute by Kate Spencer for one adorable meet cute that really kicks off a super great romance. So as I mentioned, I'm totally going to give a few shout outs to readers from my Facebook group here shortly, but I have to mention Taylor Buwaya. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, who reminded me of the next meet cute, and I had to move it up on my list because it was awesome. So thank you, Taylor, for highlighting this meet cute because it truly is one of the best, and it is from Natural Born Charmer by Susan Elizabeth Phillips. So Natural Born Charmer is the 7th book in her Chicago Stars series, which is based on an NFL football team. But this book can, and I think all of them really, can be read as standalones. It came out in 2007, and if you haven't read it yet, or any of Susan Elizabeth Phillips' books, they aren't to be missed. I remember binge reading this series after reading a quote from Diana Gabaldon of Outlander fame, of all people, who recommended Susan's books for fun rom-coms, and she was totally right in that recommendation. So thank you, Diana. But this book is about Chicago Stars quarterback Dean Robillard, who is feeling kind of empty despite having a stellar career in the NFL and as an underwear model. He's currently nursing an injury in the off season, and on his way driving to Colorado, he sees a young woman in a beaver suit on the side of the road. So he decides to pull over because, why not, right? And he meets Blue Bailey, who is on her way to her ex's house. So she's this 30-year-old woman walking down the highway in a beaver costume. And then imagine, this gorgeous football player in his ritzy car pulls over and she's like, "Can you drive me to my ex's house because I need to rough this guy up?" And he totally does. And she does rough up her ex, and it's just hilarious. And then after that moment, she actually ends up traveling with him to a second home where they meet these other amazing secondary characters to the romance that added just so much more to this book, which was already spectacular with great banter. It was awesome, not just for its really funny and crazy meet cute. So I highly recommend Natural Born Charmer. And again, thank you, Taylor, for reminding me of this one. Okay, let's see. The next book that had me thinking about this episode about the best meet cutes in romance books is one that I mentioned in my Love Triangle episode, and that is One is a Promise by Pam Goodwin. I told you then that you were going to hear about this book again, and so here we are. So if I didn't convince you to read it in that episode, then I hope I do now. So this book opens with the heroine Danny living in a house that's surrounded by some elderly neighbors, including one woman who she helps out from time to time. And this older woman is complaining to Danny about a man on a motorcycle who drives by loudly really early in the mornings. So knowing that she will probably never hear the end of it unless she takes matters into her own hands, Danny wakes up at the crack of dawn one morning, ventures out into the cold in her barely there pajamas and her cup of coffee. So when she hears the chopper motorcycle, coming down the road, she steps right out into the middle of it to block his way. Mind you, she has no idea who this rider is. It could be anybody, but lucky for her, it turns out to be this total hottie, Cole. And let me tell you, the chemistry between these two was jumping off the page. I mean, just the smiles and the looks they gave one another, not to mention that Danny just goes and straddles him on his motorcycle, getting up all in his face. And, he's not shy either, where he puts his hands and he helps himself to her cup of coffee. It was just the most amazing meet cute because their banter was phenomenal. And as I said, the chemistry was just like off the charts and undeniable. I loved how she's there telling him to drive up a different street in the morning. And then when she walks away to her front door, he calls her Mrs. whatever his last name is. I'm totally blanking on it. pretty much stating then and there that he's captivated and ready to make her his for the rest of his life. Oh my gosh, it was just awesome. Super incredible. I loved this entire series, but just pick it up for this adorable meet cute. And One is a Promise, because it was everything. Okay, so again, if I haven't convinced you, just humor me, read it for that meet cute because it's adorable. The next awesome romance book with a really great meet cute is The Bet by Max Monroe. So Jude, our hero, is a nightclub manager and consultant who takes a bet from a male stripper that he could do a better job than him and get more tips if he took his place for the night. So we have Jude walking into a bachelorette party for Sophie's twin sister, who's obviously going to be getting married, but her sister is super shy and doesn't like to be put on the spot. So she begs Sophie to take her place to get the lap dance from the stripper. And she does, but Sophie and Jude have this, kind of immediate connection, right? Where Jude is like, oh man, this sucks. I'm totally crushing on a girl who's about to get married. And Sophie's like, can I really have a thing for a stripper? So then, of course, they later find out that no, Jude is not a stripper, but he is a ladies' man who doesn't do relationships. And then he realizes that Sophie is not the one getting married. Even though she is looking for a long-term relationship, they end up having this, affair where they meet up quite a bit and get it on. So yeah, this one is super hot and a super steamy read. I loved it from the moment of their first meet cute at that nightclub. So definitely check out The Bet by Max Monroe for its meet cute, but really just for the whole book. It was incredible. I loved it. Okay, the next book with an adorable meet cute is The Real by Kate Stewart. This is one of her earlier releases as I was sort of making my way through her book catalog. And I loved the meet cute in this book because I think it would be so adorable, honestly, if it happened in real life. So Abby is sitting in a coffee shop and a message pops up on her laptop screen that says, hi. So I guess she has this, some kind of app open, I guess, and don't remember the particulars. So just kind of go with it. But turns out that the hot guy, Cameron, sitting across the coffee shop messaged her and she writes back. So they end up chatting back and forth multiple times on their MacBooks with, I guess, AirDrop, I think it was, at various times when they're both in the coffee shop before they even speak a word to one another. So it's kind of like online dating where you get to know someone through emails or messages before meeting in person. But these two had that added advantage of seeing each other's reaction in person as they were sort of chatting online to one another. So it was super adorable in terms of how they met one another. But I will say that this book does take a little bit of a heavier turn from its initial cute, meet cute. Kate doesn't hold back from a societal issue, but it did surprise me when it came up and from who in the story. But I won't go into that because I don't want to spoil it for you. But check out The Real for its super, super cute meet cute in a coffee shop. Okay, now for the recommendations from my fellow readers. Thank you again, guys, for these because they were awesome. And a few I haven't read, so I'm adding them to my own TBR list. So first shout out goes to Jen Sweet, who recommends My Oxford Year by Julia Wieland, which has a fun meet ugly, she says, where the heroine Ella has a couple of bad encounters with the hero, only to find out later that he is her professor. So I love that. Thank you, Jen, for that recommendation. Shauna Reese recommends This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins, where the heroine Minnie gets locked in a bathroom on New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve Day, which is her birthday, and is rescued by the rich club owner Quinn, who happens to share her birthday and a past. Sounds awesome. I haven't read that one, so thank you, Shauna. Now, Favor, I think you have a beautiful last name, and I'm totally going to butcher it if I try, but her recommendation for the best meet cute between characters is from Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. She loves the meeting between these two destined soulmates, and I totally agree. I think I loved this book, and their meet cute is pretty interesting because Tate moves into her brother's apartment and happens to find airline pilot Miles passed out drunk outside of the apartment. So from that point on, it's actually a really hot but also sort of heart-wrenching story. But I agree with Favor. It's such a good book. So check out Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. And Debbie McGregor loves how the characters meet in All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. It is a sad meeting when they figure out that their significant others are cheating, and the fact that they sit there and commiserate outside the apartment door, but it's an instant bond, she said, between those characters. So thank you, Debbie, for that recommendation. I love them. I just think meet cutes are just super fun when they just are awesome and unique, and when writers really hit the mark on it. So again, if you love these 5 books, put them on your TBR list, and be sure to check out the rest on my book list on shereadsromancebooks.com, because there are definitely some more goodies that I'm excited to share with you. But that's it for this episode. Again, thanks so much for joining me. Let me know what you think or give a rating on your way out. But as always, happy reading, because life is better with a love story. That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.